NUFC Matters. My name's Steve Wraith.
And I'm Malcolm McDonald.
Welcome along to NUFC Matters. My name's Steve Wraith. Put your hands together for Super Mac, Malcolm McDonald.
Oh, thank you all very much.
Malcolm, let's kick off with the biggest cup shock last week. Newcastle United got through to the next round. What was your take on the game?
I thought really that I was somewhat disappointed because they got 3-0 up and started to lose the grip of the game, and I wanted to see an awful lot more from players. It's good to see those that have been non-scorers starting to get on the score sheet now, albeit I must make comment on Joe Linton on his goal. For all the months that I've been watching Joe Linton play, I didn't think he could sprint. And then all of a sudden he sprinted for that ball and knocked it over the line, all from 2 yards, I might add. But that's the first time that he's shown that he's actually got some pace about him. And so my question is, why? Why aren't you showing that all of the time? You know that he looks very stationary in most of the games that I've seen him play, and I think that he's got an awful lot more to offer, but hasn't been prepared to do so, and that leaves me scratching my head. But otherwise, it was good to see Newcastle get through. We've got a tougher match next one against Oxford, and well, I just would love to see a full cup run, and I've got to say, well done Steve Bruce, because he did say right at the start that he was going to give the cups his very best effort and put strong sides out, and that he's doing. So well done Steve Bruce. I'm very impressed with what he's doing. There's no excuses with him.
Okay, it was against Rochdale. It was a tap-in. But he did score, Joe Linton. I have been very critical of him over the last few weeks, and I think rightly so. The price tag's not his fault, but he's been brought in to score goals and he hasn't done it. Is this going to kick-start him, do you think? Do you think this will be the opportunity for him to maybe kick on like we've seen with Almiron?
I really don't know on that. I just wonder, will he look on it as, oh, well, I've scored, so I can sort of take a bit of time off for now. When I was playing and was asked, what's your most important goal? My answer always was my next one.
Yep.
Because that is your most important goal, and you've got to keep chasing it, giving it everything that you've got. You can't rest on laurels or past goals ever. And so I really would like to see a rejuvenated Joe Linton out today against Chelsea, and again next Saturday against Oxford. That goal would have boosted his confidence, and we see a reaction from him accordingly, a very positive one. Almiron had similar problems in getting. We had to wait a very long time for his first goal. The difference between him and Joe Linton is that Almiron has never stopped grafting and working and chasing. He's given it everything. He uses his pace. He frightens defences. Joe Linton isn't doing any of that. We need to see an awful lot more. And if he can sprint, as I thought I saw on Tuesday night, then we need to see that an awful lot more from him, an awful lot more.
It would have gone without notice to Newcastle fans that there was 2 extra seats used in the director's box at the FA Cup game. Mike Ashley was in town. So Mike Ashley, back at St James's Park, obviously because Steve Bruce has summoned him for the transfer talks. My question is, why is Mike Ashley waiting until the middle of January to come and discuss something which should have been, you know, maybe he's on the agenda in December with Steve Bruce?
The answer is very simple. And that is that all the people who hate him didn't bother going on Tuesday. So he was able to sneak into the ground without getting threats and boos. And I have to say that I was actually within about 5 feet of him, but couldn't get any closer at all for heavies and some very big guys encircling him.
Yeah.
So he comes prepared, that's for sure. But I know where this is all leading, and it's money for the transfer window that we've got at the moment. I don't think there will be any. There might be loan deals done, but certainly I can't see Newcastle United spending any more money until the summer. It won't happen this winter, I'm afraid.
Talking of loan deals, obviously today, Lazaro, a left back from Inter Milan, has been linked with Newcastle United. It looks as if his agent is in town to discuss the potential move with Steve Bruce and Lee Charnley today. Do we really need a left back?
Well, I think that Steve Bruce doesn't fancy the left backs that are there, and it's a bit of a shame. But I think he's looking for more. Now, whether this Lazaro can offer more, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that that over in Italy, by heavens, the defenders know how to defend. They are usually exceedingly good. But of course, in the Premiership, you need so much more. You need the attacking ability, but particularly with Newcastle playing the 3 centre halves, which Steve Bruce and, I have to say, the centre halves seem to enjoy playing. And so it's not so much wanting a fullback, but a wing back. So I'm not sure whether this fella can fly up the wing, but that's what's required.
Been a lot of discussion online as well about the centre midfield position. What do you think the best centre midfield pairing is? Some people are saying that Sean Longstaff hasn't quite reached his potential that people thought he was going to reach this season. Some people prefer Matty Longstaff. Some people wouldn't have Shelby anywhere near the team, whereas some people would have him starting and having him captain in the team. You know, what's your ideal midfield pairing? Is it Shelby and Hayden? Is it one of the Longstaffs and Shelby? What do you think, Mal?
The first name that I would put on the team sheet for the midfield department would be Matty Longstaff.
Right.
Now, who plays alongside of him? Is it Shelby or is it his brother? Hayden, I'm not a lover of Hayden at all, I think, I thought the midfield looked so much better with him playing at centre half. Right. I think there is a good relationship between the two brothers, but that means it's a very young central midfield and therefore inexperienced. Shelby, see, I love and I hate Shelby. Sometimes he's absolutely terrific, and there are other times where he cannot be bothered whatsoever, no matter what. And there are other times when he can be a bit naughty, and he can put players into trouble with his passes. And he's that good a passer, you know he's doing it purposely. I experienced that myself in my playing career. Not here at Newcastle, I have to add, except for one match down at Wolves, and Terry Hibbett did it to me once. But maybe he was just getting his own back for something. But certainly Matty Longstaff, I think, first on the team sheet. It's going to be interesting bringing it forward to this afternoon, because it's a fairly young Chelsea side, but still with a lot of experience in there. And I think it's going to be a very, very interesting midfield battle. And I don't think Steve Bruce will want to play 2 young players in there. It's going to be interesting to see whether he keeps Sean or Matty in. I would prefer him to keep Matty in just at the moment.
Getting back to the cup game, good to see players returning after the injury list. Lascelles obviously giving himself a chance of a run out today, but Matt Ritchie, I think probably the biggest cheer goes up for him coming back, because he's been out so long after that horrendous injury. But he adds a lot of work rate, and he also adds a bit of experience and a bit of leadership, doesn't he?
And a lot more. He really does offer all that you mentioned there, and a hell of a lot more. I think the world of Matt Ritchie as a footballer, and I think the players around him, they love him too, because he's a great enthusiast. He drives them on. He's looking to get the best, not only out of himself, but out of everybody around him. And he makes players be better around him. And I think that there is certainly a place for him in the side, no matter what. He would be the very first on the team sheet if I were picking the side. What position to play him in? He's experienced, he's multi-talented, and he can play a variety of positions. And I think that the wide left and the wide right are sort of looking to become occupied now, and so maybe he's just got to drop off a bit. He hasn't got the defensive qualities that maybe Steve Bruce is looking for, but he certainly can do a job at left wing back whilst they're playing 3 centre halves. So I'm a little surprised that they're bringing in this lad Lazaro from Milan.
Yeah. Okay. The injury list obviously has dominated the headlines over the last few weeks because of the players dropping like flies with soft tissue injuries. The club have had an investigation into the soft tissue injury situation, which is dragging on longer than anything I've ever known. But what they've said is, and this is the results they've come back with, which is in the Chronicle tonight, that Steve Bruce thinks it's because he added an extra friendly at the start of the season, because he added a 3,000 metre run to the training schedule. That's why they're getting these injuries. Is that accurate, Malcolm, do you think?
I've never heard so much toss in my life.
Yeah.
Really. That is so much nonsense. A 3,000 run,
Yeah.
That was just a warm-up when we were playing, for heaven's sake. I really wish that managers would carefully think out what they're going to say.
Yep.
You know, that 3,000 metres, that's 3 kilometres. Mm-hmm. You can run that in what, about 9 minutes? Should be able to. Well, I excuse myself on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, most young men should be able to run it in about 9 to 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So that 9 to 10 minute run has put Newcastle season under pressure. It's a load of nonsense. It really is. I shall never forget that they used to take us up by coach to about 12 miles north of Bamborough Castle, and put us on the beach, and we then had to run on the sand to Bamborough Castle, and we had to get the red brick dust on our fingers, so we had to climb up. At the end of this 12-mile run, we had to climb up all the rocks and touch the red sandstone that the castle was constructed of. And having done that, we then came back up the beach a bit, and there was the biggest dune on the northeast coast, and we had to run up that and down 10 times. I've seen players actually faint and be unconscious for some while through lack of oxygen because of that, and it was absolutely exhausting. So when you say a 3,000 metre run, it's 3 kilometres for heaven's sake. Oh, bless their little cotton socks, were they tired at the end of it? Dear me.
Okay, Chelsea are in town today. They don't travel well to St James's. Obviously, they got the result last year, but I think the previous games before that, I think we had something like 3 wins and a draw. So it's, you know, coming to St James's Park isn't a good thing for Chelsea. But like you've already said, they bring a bit of something different this year. They've got a very young team. They've got a young manager who's trying to make a name for himself. How do you see the game going today?
Well, this transfer embargo that they had, I think that it did Frank Lampard a real service. It did him a great favour because he was able to get in there, and rather than looking at who he wanted to bring in, he had to make the very most of what he had at his disposal. And he started to look for youngsters coming through.
Yeah.
And by heavens, they are rewarding him. They're doing brilliant. And so what he's doing is he's building a side that is really going to be top notch in a couple of seasons' time. And they're getting there the best way possible, which is just by playing in the Premier League. This afternoon, I'm really not sure, because Chelsea, they're a young side. Will they turn it on? Will they not? You can't always be sure with young players. But then the same can be said of Newcastle. What kind of football are they going to be out there playing today? I would hope that Newcastle, they look at this record and say, hey, come on, this should be a 3 points game. And I don't see why it shouldn't. The confidence should be sky high with having had the biggest scoreline of the season. All right, it was against Rochdale, but at least the goals were going in. Guys who need to be scoring were getting the goals. That's great. I want to see that continuing today. And if it does, I think that it can turn the season into a very positive one for all of us.
We'll touch on Everton as well, which is Tuesday night away. Another tough game as well. And I mean, depending on how today's result goes, you know, if you lose today and then you go to Everton and the results go against you, suddenly you find yourself back in the bottom 3. That's how tight the league is.
Yes, it is. It is very, very tight. And of course, Everton have had this boost of bringing in one of the best managers in Europe. He is exceedingly good, and gets an immediate reaction, positive reaction from his players. And so Newcastle, I was so upset at the Everton game here not so long ago, just a matter of weeks ago, just before Christmas, I think it was, wasn't it? And I felt that Newcastle, at times they had it in their grasp, but they let it go, and let it go by not making the most in the last third of the pitch. That hopefully, and I'm certainly looking for it this afternoon, I'm looking for much more positive attitude and play in that last third from all of the forward line, and there's no excuses if it doesn't come. There really isn't. And so Chelsea at home, Everton away. It's a very difficult few days, but not impossible. And the forwards, if they really are on top form, they can make the difference.
Give us a prediction for today, Mark.
Oh, do you know, I really do find this one a difficult one to work out, but I've just got a feeling that Newcastle, they might just have that confidence to go on a bit of a roll from Tuesday night, that having scored goals, then that they're getting into that goal-scoring pattern. And so I'm going to go 2-1 to Newcastle today. and let's hope the Chelsea kids don't turn it on too much.
I'm going for 1-1. I'm near on to score. Keep his run going. We are live in the Dog and Parrot today, and Malcolm, if you can do the honours and hold that up, we are going to give away a T-shirt from Cult Zeros with Malcolm's image on the front there. He said a rather young Malcolm, pre-superstars days, Malcolm, I think. So the question is for somebody live in the bar: who did Newcastle United play on the last game of last season? And you want to come forward? Right, come forward. You got your hand up first. Come on, son. Here he comes. Give him a round of applause. Young lad. Very brave. Okay.
Hello.
Right.
What's your name?
Go on.
Joe.
Joe. Okay.
Right,
Who did
Joe.
Newcastle United play on the last game of last season?
Was it Liverpool?
Oh! No. Would you-
Oh, Joe.
You know. Sorry, son. Okay. Right. Come on forward, mate. Come forward.
Oh, Joe, how disappointing.
You'll have
for
to
you.
come in next week and have another go, son.
Yes, indeed.
Right, okay, come forward, mate. He's double checking, Right, alright, here we go. Who did Newcastle United play on the last game of last season?
Fulham.
Well done, give him a round of applause. You won the T-shirt, mate. Well done.
There we
Thank
go.
you very much. We'll get a photograph with you and Malcolm. Okay, we'll be back next week for the FA Cup game, live in here, 2 hours before kick-off for the Oxford game. But that ends our broadcast from the Dog and Parrot. Big thanks to the bar staff for helping us set up, and a big thanks to the lads. We'll be back next week. Until then, we'll play out with Smooth and Terrell.
You're going to be completely obliterated in the next couple of minutes by one of the super talents of all time.
Moving around, make some noise.